Welcome. Today we are again looking into the Amazon series House of David. In House of David, episode 2, we see the theme Deep Calls to Deep. This is a line from the Psalms, which David's mother in this episode tells to her son. As in all episodes of House of David, this disclaimer appears, reminding people to watch intelligently, not as if it's the Bible, but as if it's something based on the Bible. It's a drama. They do add to it, and they do take some things away, but it's based on the Bible, so read the Bible first, and then understand that this, what you're about to see, is a reenactment of what it could have been like. In episode 2, we meet David's mother. Now, the first scene is long, and it's all a flashback to when David was a boy and his mother was alive. We don't know how long his mother lived. We don't really see her in the text. In the series, she dies when he's young, and this episode tells us how. Now again, episode 2 is almost all backstory. Hardly any of it is actually based directly from the Bible. There are some allusions to themes of the Bible, and there's a whole lot based on imagination. But we do get to meet, in this episode, the important figures Abinoam, that's King Saul's wife, the queen, Abner, and Achish. Achish is the king of Gath, a Philistine king. So it's helpful to understand the historical background of the kingdom of Israel and the Pharisees. And it's useful, if for no other reason, to introduce characters in this episode. Because we'll see more of these characters later on, and they do have a big impact on David's life. Early on, in the first big scene, we do see the impact of a lion. Now, in the Bible, David claims, before he kills Goliath, he says, King Saul, I've killed a lion and a bear. Well, in today's episode, once again, we see this lion, which David calls the Old King. And while David and his mother are out in the field talking, the lion attacks. David goes beyond the borders of the house property into the field, and when he's out there, the lion attacks, and his mother steps in to apparently sacrifice herself, sparing David, but his mother dies. The lion captures her and kills her. And as a result, Jesse apparently is grieving over his wife, and he blames David, or appears to do so, and says, David, go watch the sheep, don't come back to this house. So that's why David is out there in the sheep. Now, there's no biblical support for this. David is the youngest of his brothers, so it's natural that he would be on the lower end of the pool for those who would be eligible for military service. His brothers are probably in the military simply because they're old enough, and David's not old enough yet. Whatever happens, David is out there minding the sheep. And then after the first 10 minutes, we fast forward into the narrative thread that was left off in the previous episode. And we see Abner and Abinoam discussing what's to become of the family of Saul if Saul keeps on declining his mental capacity. We're also introduced to Joab, who's going to be a very major character. He's going to become David's general eventually. He's going to eventually kill Absalom, David's son. And eventually, he and David are going to be enemies. Well, but it's all very subtle. But we do meet him in this episode, so that's a significant character who's going to have a lot to do with the story later on. Then we see in this episode a whole lot of sword sparring. Not fighting with sharp swords. These are wooden swords. But Abner and Jonathan do quite a bit of sword sparring. They both seem to be pretty good at it. You can tell the actors have really gotten adept at what they do. And Saul and Jonathan, both Abner and Saul both spar with Jonathan. It's all only semi-dangerous. You can get bruised, but not really killed. And then we see David and his brother Eliab going to investigate a city that has been attacked apparently by the Philistines. The city is burning, and they go to investigate what has happened, if there are any survivors. And while they're there, they happen to be there at the same time when Achish, the king of Gath, is also there. And the men of Achish fight with David's brother, and he kills several of them, or severely wounds them. But David and his brother Eliab get away. Meanwhile, we also see that the character Jonathan is depicted as having had some kind of a romance about which he's got this melancholy memory of. Apparently, it didn't work out for one way or another. We're not really told in this episode everything that went on, but he has a lost love. And so we meet several characters. David's brother is shot as they're leaving the city, the city that was on fire, and David has to drag him back home. Another thing to notice about this episode isn't just the episode itself, but also the extras on Amazon. If you go to Amazon and get to the House of David, you'll find a little section called Extras, and the extra is really one of the best parts of the series. You have footage of Greg and Kathy Laurie, and they walk you through the wardrobes, sets, props, and animals of the series. And so you can meet some of the actors, meet some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that's going on. And Greg also shares some very encouraging evangelism. So if you aren't really interested too much in the backstory episode, which is filler, this episode is 95% filler. But if you turn to the extras, you also find some very worthwhile material. So I encourage you to watch this episode. It kind of paints a picture. Really not telling you a whole lot of real story from the Bible, but preparing the historical canvas for events to come. And that's about all I have today. Stay tuned for more. And please like and subscribe.